AFTERBUZZ gonna talk your favorite show.
Friendly hosts everywhere, humble talks without flirtation.
Going on down to AFTERBUZZ, gonna see my favorite host.
Ample thoughts day or night, people shouting but never fighting.
Heading on up to AFTERBUZZ, gonna hope we don't ramble.
We like those with big fat titties, man, I hope this show ain't shitty.
Come on down to AFTERBUZZ and meet some hoes of mine. Howdy ho, y'all know the words.
String up the lights and light up the tree. We're gonna make some revelry.
This is.
That's right.
It's Christmas time in hell. Demons are nicer as you pass them by. There's lots of
We are so going to hell. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, in the final South Park Weekly of 2017. It's only fitting that the gang rejoice in the holiday spirit and argue over which South Park Christmas episode is the fucking best. It's a no-holds-barred match, and shit's gonna hit the fan. Hopefully not Mr. Hankey, though. That would suck, and Christmas would be ruined, wouldn't it?
It would ruin everyone's Christmas, it's true.
Absolutely. So start the fireplace, grab your snuggie, and cozy on up on your couch, and enjoy this crappy episode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have Stephanie Sabra.
What's up, everyone? I'm Steph Sabra. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Steph Sabra.
I'm Christian Blood. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. And yes, we're hearing something from my favorite episode. Spoiler alert.
Shh, you gotta tease him. You gotta tease him. This is like foreplay before the. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Anyway.
usually didn't make it through foreplay. So it's,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, let's just say we had a few crashes on the launch pad.
Alrighty, we're missing Stephen Lemieux in action.
But did we really miss him?
You know, he is the Grinch.
Let us know in the chat if you miss Steven. If you want Steven here, maybe if we say his name 3 times, he'll magically
gosh.
appear.
I miss Steven.
Oh,
Okay,
Oh,
well,
Anthony.
there you go. The voice of God, Anthony in the booth.
Anthony holds no actual authority.
authority.
Yeah, he is not the authority. Of course, I'm Phil Svitek, and before we kind of give our picks, first, not a lot of episodes to really debate here, so we're all just going to pick a favorite. Overall, 7 episodes. A fact that we feel very saddened by because South Park used to have longer seasons, and, you know, then it used to be 14, and now it's only 10?
And there's some years where they're just not even on this time of year. I mean, we got close this year, actually. They could have done a Christmas episode, last week if they'd wanted to. But, yeah, so out of 21 seasons only having 7, you'd think, you know, you'd have at least 10 at this point. But there's some great ones in here, though, so it was fun to kind of revisit them. And, you know, when the list originally went out, there were some that I completely forgotten about. So it was fun to go down memory lane.
Absolutely. Well, of course, the first one that we have to talk about is Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poof, back from Season 1, Episode 9. It is the 9th episode overall. Summarized, believe in Mr. Hankey. While South Park Elementary is attempting to stage a non-denominational holiday play that won't offend or entertain anyone, Kyle has checked himself into the South Park mental house. It's Christmas time in South Park, and this landmark episode, an unlikely hero saves the day. Highlights of the episode for you guys?
I would say meeting Mr. Hankey.
Yeah, I was going to say that, too.
And the notion that, I mean, I don't know, I find it very satisfying that Mr. Hankey was real. I didn't want him to be a figment of his imagination. I love that Mr. Hankey went on, although he's only in, 3 episodes, I think. But the fact that we're able to actually get him, I don't know, for me, that's the best part, is that he is real. I always believed in you, Mr. Hankey.
Yeah, I believe in Mr. Hankey, too. I was worried. I remember when I first watched this episode that he wouldn't be real, and he was just doing some schizophrenic stuff with his poop, but it was great anecdote, and I feel like he's a lifetime character now. He's like a franchise character
he's in the Hall of
South
Fame, yeah.
South Park Hall of Fame, so much appreciated. Mr.
He was
Hankey.
Towley before Towley.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And I'd never had the privilege of actually seeing it when it first aired, but I can only imagine South Park was such a weird phenomenon to begin with, and then you have a literal piece of shit on a
Talking.
Christmas episode.
With
I mean,
the
you have to think about it. This is 1997, all right? And I remember watching this because there was like a batch of 6 episodes, and then there was a Thanksgiving and then a Christmas, so they were like kind of doled out. And it was a big deal when there was a new South Park because, you know, you watched those first 6 so many times, and it's like, okay, now we have a couple more. And this one didn't disappoint. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, here's some shitty Christmas special. Exactly what it was. It was a very shitty Christmas special.
100%. So the next season, they followed up with Merry Christmas, Charlie Manson.
How timely, considering that Charlie
Yeah.
Manson has just left us. I can't believe it took that long. It took another, 19 years. 18 years.
Absolutely. Well, we get a couple of things here. As the boys go to Cartman's grandma's house, Stan having been told that his parents, he can't go. Meanwhile, Cartman's Uncle Howard and his friend Charlie Manson break out of prison. Lots of lessons to really take away here. But for me, I just love the Cartmans.
Yeah. And just the way that they all talk like Cartman, you know, at the point. You know, I mean, I think that Cartman's voice was a little bit rougher around the edges in the early seasons. It's a little bit more streamlined now. So, but to have like that Cartman voice and everybody's like, no, I haven't, that's a bad Evan, you know, all that stuff. It was so funny to just meet a house full of Cartmans. And, you know, I can only imagine what that was like for the rest of the boys to be around that many Cartmans.
It's everything I would hope his family would be like, his distant relatives, and I loved the relationship between him and his grandma. It's like very special.
Get out of the way, Grandma. Where's my present?
So pissed when he didn't get what did he just get, a top? Or
He got a shirt.
A shirt.
A shirt, yeah.
And by the way, it wasn't just. It's one thing to get a shirt, but it was like the shittiest Hawaiian T-shirt you would
Yeah.
wear on a Friday to work.
Cartman reminds me of the Dudley son in Harry Potter. The one on Christmas, you know, he got like 23 gifts and he was still mad. That's Cartman on Christmas. He's the anti-Christmas.
Well, thank God for Charlie to really teach us what the Christmas spirit is all about.
That's what we need.
We could all learn something from Charlie Manson this Christmas.
Oh, 100%. Please do. Then, in Season 3, Episode 15, we had Mr. Hankey's Christmas Classics, hosted by Mr. Hankey himself. It's essentially all holiday songs, including 2 performed by Cartman, Oh Holy Night, and then what we opened up with, Satan's own version of Christmas Time in Hell, and Jesus Christ and Santa performing their favorites.
Yeah, and this is actually my favorite, and I have a DVD. This is before they even started doing sets of seasons, and I watch this every Christmas, my wife and I. The song you're talking about, where it's Jesus and Santa in the lounge, that's probably one of my, that to me, that's when it's really Christmas, is just them, you know, and just you know, just how angry they get during the song, but then they all come back together. But there's a few amazing things about this episode. First of all, it's a collection of songs because it was to promote a CD that was out that summer. So all those songs are on the CD, and that's why, you know, it probably was relatively easy for them to actually just animate all the songs. But let's not forget Mr. Garrison's Merry Fucking Christmas, by the way, as an amazing entry. And in addition to all those things, Christmas Time in Hell features people who died that year. So it's like Gene Siskel from Siskel and Ebert, Michael Landon. So it's like, it's all very raw, and you're like, oh shit, they're talking about people who just died. And so it you know, probably loses a little something now, but that year was great. One other amazing thing about it, running throughout the episode, is the news anchor fighting the Frizzies. And so this is 1999. This is the most obscure thing at that time. It blew my mind. What that's from is the bootleg of the Star Wars Holiday Special. And there's an anchor from Channel 2 in New York who's saying, fighting the Frizzies, filmed at 11. Throughout the entire Star Wars Christmas special is a guy who looks just like that anchor, same mustache, same look. And
What?
you're just like, they're fucking, you know, parodying this thing that's like a bootleg VHS that, you know, I bought at like a comic convention. I could not believe it was in the episode. Now I think a lot more people have seen the Star Wars Holiday Special because it's on YouTube. But it was such an obscure thing. And that, for me, was why this is not just my favorite Christmas. This is my favorite episode of South Park. I've seen this one the most time. I've seen it at least once every Christmas, and just like. It blew my mind how much they put into here. And there's like a sad moment at the end. If you guys notice, there's like a montage of the female characters because one of the early voice actors on the show, I just have to look up her name, Mary Kay Bergman, she killed herself right before this episode premiered. So she was the original voice for Kyle's mom and the bus driver and basically all the female characters. So she killed herself. And that's why you see sort of during the Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, you see sort of a little montage of the characters that she did. And again, it's not something that is widely recognized now because it was so long ago. And I will have to say that none of those characters have sounded right since she stopped doing them. So I know I filibustered for a while there, but that's how important this episode is to
No, that
me.
was good information.
There's just so much about this episode, and the songs are hysterical. That's,
Wasn't this the first time that they had kind of a live action piece of footage in their episodes too?
As far as I know, there's the episode that's all about Pip, where Malcolm McDowell like hosted it, but I don't know what season that was. I think the Pip episode is, and I think it's in the first couple seasons. And by the way, what happened to Pip? Where is he? I kind of miss him actually.
Where is Pip?
I mean, these are all questions.
Yeah, maybe in season 22. I'm hoping for more Pip.
Absolutely. Well, you're correct. This was a wonderful episode. I loved the debate between Santa Claus and Jesus because Santa's like, you have way more songs than me.
Yeah,
And it's true.
yeah.
There's
only like 3 fucking Santa songs, and he goes to Rio by Duran Duran. Yeah, that's my favorite Christmas song, probably the montage that they do, the medley they do.
Absolutely. Steph, anything for you on this episode?
I think Christian really took it home.
You're never gonna watch this episode the same now. All the
I'm
stuff
not.
I said, you're gonna
I
think
really
about all
love
of
the
that.
trivia added. It's gonna make me enjoy it a lot more than I already did.
You're welcome, America.
It's a really cool episode. I feel like it's not like any other South Park episode, and I don't usually like full-on musicals, but this is extremely enjoyable.
They parodied it well in the sense of, and it doesn't just have to be. I remember just all those times, like anytime you have a special, you have someone introducing it, and so the fact that it's Mr. Hankey and he's just
Yeah, it was
so
supposed
good.
At
to
the
be-
fireplace.
Yeah.
Like
And it's like, and if you don't like it, you can suck my tiny little balls, which was great. Yeah, it was like an Andy Williams Christmas special with just a talking piece of shit hosting it instead. So I guess a lot.
can you
like the Andy
imagine
Williams
anything
special.
better?
I can't.
Absolutely not. All right, so moving right along, we get to A Very Crappy Christmas in Season 4, Episode 17, when everyone in South Park decides to forego presents and celebrate non-materialistic holiday season. The boys try to bring the spirit of commercialism back to Christmas by making an animated film. How do we feel about this?
I love the concept of the Mr. Hankey family.
Yes.
And the little turds, it was a major Christmas miracle, really, when you got to meet Mr. Hankey's family.
Autumn, Cornwallis,
Oh, I'm glad you have their
Amber, and
names there.
Simon. Yeah, absolutely, because this family is iconic. I mean,
They're America's first family.
the silicone breasts,
Yeah.
and I think this is. I have 2 favorite Christmas episodes, but this is.
You can't have 2.
Okay, this is my. I'm gonna change. This is my second favorite, but I will say it is so amazing for the sole fact that The Circle of Pooh is the most awesome song I think in South Park history for a few reasons. It's hilarious. It's somehow father-son bonding and giving you life lessons all in one, and there is some science base to the song, so it's just like insanely awesome.
By the way, brings up a good notion. As we continue these types of episodes, I'm sure there's going to be huge amounts of inconsistencies with everything we say because we did a whole song debate, and the fact that none of us brought up any of these episodes.
Yeah.
Well, because Christmas is its own little section.
Although, to be fair, when we talked about songs, I did mention Merry Fucking Christmas. But that's the only one out of any of these, yeah.
So there you go. Fuck you for being like, that's not what you said in the
Yeah.
other episode.
I forgot about this song, honestly. I haven't seen this episode in a while. And I don't know why. I feel like it should be talked about more.
Well, that's why we are dedicating
Maybe
an
with the
entire
new Lion
episode.
King coming out, people will appreciate this.
Absolutely. That's what I hope. All right, then we have Red Sleigh Down, Season 6, Episode 17. So we skipped the season. We didn't have one in Season 5. Cartman has to score one big nice on Santa's list to be eligible for Christmas presents this year. He recruits Santa, Mr. Hankey, and of course, Jesus Christ in a desperate attempt to bring Christmas to the downtrodden citizens of Iraq. They need Christmas.
I mean, honestly, there are people that will tell you that that's exactly what Iraq needs. Everything would have been much better if only they had Christmas. That's
Or
what that part of
Hooters.
the world needs. Probably both. Yeah, it kind of makes me miss how Jesus used to be such a regular part of the show. You know, the Jesus and Pals call-in show, and the fact that they would go to him for guidance. And I don't even talk about this in religious, just as a funny character. I loved that Jesus used to be on the show, and. Somebody let me know. When was the last time he was on? Because I'd Google it, but I'm very lazy. Yeah, I can't even think of the last time that he was on. So, but yeah, to take Christmas and do a Black Hawk Down parody was amazing, because obviously when you see the title of the episode, it kind of gives it away. But it's still, you don't imagine what's coming until you actually see it.
Well, they pieced it together so nicely, too, and Cartman, of course, continuing his theme of just being absolutely heinous, and I loved basically the parody of his accountant during tax season of, even if you cured cancer, you still wouldn't get a Christmas gift. So that to me was absolutely hysterical and whatnot, and it just reminded me of all those movies where. I forget what movie it's from, but Santa, do you think we can save Christmas? Wow, we gotta hurry, but I think we can. And of course they say fucking Christmas.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
Yeah, Christmas is a lot easier to save than I would ever think. In fact, if I ever felt like Christmas needed saving, I'd be like, somebody else will do it. It'll be fine. Christmas is saved. Don't worry about it.
you can save Christmas easier than you can save Iraq. That's the moral of that story.
Now that should be a T-shirt.
That is still relevant, yes.
All right. Anything to add, Steph?
No, it's not one of my. I liked this episode. I like all the Christmas episodes, but it's not one of my favorites. You guys covered my main points of it.
Okay. All right. Then we get to season 7, episode 15. It's Christmas in Canada.
Yes, sir.
The Broflovski family is dealt a devastating blow when Ike's Canadian birth parents show up unexpectedly and want their baby back. When the townspeople decide to forego Christmas gifts and take up a collection to get Ike home to South Park, the boys are distraught. Before all the money for their Christmas present gets spent, they hightail it to Canada to bring back Ike home themselves.
I love any episode with Canadians. That's why the recent episode just a few weeks ago was so great to me. I love the way that they're so poorly animated. Hey, relax, guy. You just need a rest. And the return of Scott, who's just a dick. This is one of my favorites for sure. I know we're not ranking, but this is number 2 on my list. And Phil and I were just watching it before the show, so it's very fresh in my memory. But yeah, and it's so funny, the production numbers about Canada and the Wizard of Oz theme of the 3 Canadians they take with them, the Newfoundlander who just wants to get sodomy back, and the French mime who just wants to drink wine. I don't know. I thought it's all of the stereotypes about Canada that they do so well on this show in musical form.
And the fact that all the townspeople were the Munchkins.
Yes.
Was hilarious, because I feel like that is such a funny depiction of Canadians. But I love this episode. I feel like it's such good storytelling, and it takes you on surprises, and it's just hilarious. Like each character, the 3 people that he travels with to the Wizard of Oz essentially is so funny, like you said, looking for sodomy.
And I left out the Mountie on the sheet, by the way. I felt like that probably wasn't fair. And then, of course, the reveal that the Prime Minister is our pal Saddam Hussein, who's such an important part of South Park. But this is another one of those pretty amazing, how they produced the show so quickly and has such a quick turnaround. Because this is the bearded hiding in the hole Saddam Hussein that had been found, I believe, just a couple weeks before this episode.
Right
I forget
before.
exactly how soon it was, but it was like right away. It's like the kind of the first time we saw it, and then he's just like, "Hey, relax, guys, it's me, Saddam." And it was a great reveal that it was him, but it was that Saddam.
And yeah, it was so awesome how it fit perfectly with the voice they always use with Saddam, and then pairing that with the Wizard of Oz, who uses a voice machine.
Yeah.
It's like, I should have thought of that before. I was not expecting that. Since it was a Christmas episode, I was expecting Mr. Hankey to come. This was the one, I think, where he doesn't show up at all. Or the first one since the introduction of him in Christmas episodes.
I think you're right. I think we could, it's a travesty that there isn't Mr. Hankey.
Well, to be fair, he's not in Merry Christmas, Charlie Manson.
That's true.
There's an imposter.
I forgot about
And
that.
it's a very big play on like Santa Claus not being real.
Yeah.
I wanted to see a Canadian Mr. Hankey that like the animation is different, where it's like the I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to describe it for people listening on iTunes.
Pac-Man-esque.
Yeah, exactly, Pac-Man-esque. Yeah, but you know what? There's some things that Canada doesn't get to have, and Mr. Hankey's one of them. Sorry, Canadian
Don't get
friends.
to have this.
Here's as I watched that episode, the biggest takeaway for me is we got to bring back Shitty Airplane.
Oh my God, I love Shitty Walk, and
So much happened in this episode.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And I'm so glad that we had the whole She Part of Town. Was that 2 seasons ago? 3? I forget now. There was 3 seasons ago. So to have the reemergence of, but I love the guy who runs Shitty Walk, and that he's running like, oh, hang on a second. He
Never
just changed the
negotiate with Chinese man.
That was hilarious. I forgot about that.
Thank you for flying Shitty Airplane. You could have flown anywhere, and you're probably regretting your decision.
And like you were saying about the timing with the writing and South Park, I think at that time also they had just gotten a new prime minister.
Yeah, and I pride myself on knowing things from the headlines in the world. And I'm like, who the hell was the prime minister at this point? And I didn't come up with the answer.
I think I had the name.
It's a second world country at best.
At second world country at best, yeah. Because and I couldn't come up with who it was from this year. So sorry, Canadian friends, but it's American public schools. I can only know what I know.
We don't know the trivia.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
The prime minister's trivia.
My bad.
And rounding it off,
Oh yeah.
Season 8, Episode 14, Woodland Critter Christmas. Stan gets tricked by a group of satanic woodland creatures into killing a mountain lion to allow them a safe summoning of the Antichrist. That sounds like a great holiday special, doesn't it?
I mean, every family should have this as part of their holiday tradition. In fact, it should probably be the first thing you do to officially announce that it's Christmas time. Right after Thanksgiving dinner, you sit down, everybody gets together and watch this. We were talking about this before we started the show, that the animation for the animals, just their sweet voices, everything about them, it's so... I mean, it's fun to watch again, but watching it the first time, you're just like, you can't believe what's happening. You're just like, because they're so
sweet and
They're so
innocent.
sweet, yeah. And like the one of them looks like Rocky the Flying Squirrel from Bullwinkle, and yet, I mean, this is. The fact that they've never done another Christmas episode after, if this is the last one they ever do, this is a great final Christmas episode, I have to say.
It reminded me kind of Snow White gone bad.
Yeah.
And it was just so... there were so many twists and turns in this episode with the animals and having that voice, and it reminded me of those ABC Family type Christmas movies where the animation is... This animation's actually better than some of the really old ones where it's like squirrels and scarves talking really like cutesy and weird. And then I remember, and even now rewatching it, when you find out it's a story being told to the class, that's hilarious to me. Because at first I was thinking this was actually just like an episode happening in real South Park life, but then of course it's Cartman's sick mind. There are some sick scenes in this.
It's absolutely a very. I mean, Cartman is a very sick child at the end of the day, so it goes along well. All right, before we get into our pick, we have to give an honorable mention.
Yes. Do you want me to give the honorable mention?
I will let Christian.
Because this all started, South Park starts because of what was the first ever viral video, really. And it's the Santa Claus versus Frosty. And it's the second one that they made, Trey and Matt. But basically, the famous one that people have seen, it was commissioned, I think an executive at Fox gave them, I don't know, like $50,000 to make a Christmas card. And I think that they talked about how they spent $2,000 and kept the rest of the money or something. And that's how they developed their animation style. But it has all four of the boys in it. Kenny does die in it. Cartman looks like Cartman. The original one they did, the characters are actually different. But Christmas is how South Park starts with that short, and based on that short, Comedy Central gave them a series. I think only like a year later. But again, there's many moments where I point out how old I am. But this is like a viral video when it took a long time to play a video on a computer. So imagine if it's like half the size of your cell phone on a screen.
That was still dial-up.
Yeah, it was dial-up, and like I remember watching it like in the computer lab at my college because it had a good connection, and like we were all like gathered around, but it's still really small, and you're like, I can watch a video on the computer, and it's the first thing that I know that people were passing around on the internet versus like, oh, I have this tape. Which it also did make the rounds that way.
Did you sign up for email just so you can get an email with the link?
No, I had an email, but I didn't have email until I went to college in 1994. I just didn't. I didn't have a computer in my house. There was no internet to plug into, so what would I have an email for? But I really enjoyed the internet for the first time by having this. And yeah, I mean, anybody who hasn't seen it or hasn't seen it in a while, you should rewatch that because you'll just forget that, it nails in 6-7 minutes what South Park would be, at least for the first few seasons.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're about to give our final picks, but before we do, I want to tell you guys, are you tired of like shitty employees?
I'm tired of being a shitty employee.
I'm talking about Mr. Hankey. He's not the best employee. However, if you are in need of great talent for your business but short on time, you don't have to get lost in a huge stack of resumes to find the perfect hire. You just need the right tools, smarter tools, right? Mm-hmm. What if hiring was made easier, more streamlined, and less time consuming, especially in this holiday season? It's just so much to do. Nobody has time. Well, guess what? With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to over 100 of the world's leading job boards with just one click. So, rest easy knowing that your job is being seen by the right candidates. Then ZipRecruiter puts its smart matching technology to work, actively notifying qualified candidates, that's right, qualified candidates about your job within minutes of posting so you receive the best possible matches. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you, it finds them. It's like a Christmas miracle. No wonder why 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get quality candidates through the site in just one day. And the easy-to-use ZipRecruiter dashboard lets you manage your hiring process from start to finish all in one place. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by growing businesses of all sizes and industries, including by Santa, to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. Santa's got to find his elves. And right now, my listeners, aka you guys, can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, Free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/buzz. That's ZipRecruiter.com/buzz. One more time, just for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/buzz.
Woo! That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I could use some employees.
Me too. I think we all could.
I mean, and the guy who runs Shitty Walk could definitely use some shitty employees.
Absolutely.
And that would probably be where he can find them.
He needs employees for shitty.
Shitty airlines, and I'm sure he has a shitty bus company, a shitty boat company. I'm sure he has
Shitty empire.
all the entire
I
shitty
was
empire.
about to say that, Stephanie.
Hi,
Dang it.
Anthony.
What'd you say, Anthony?
That he's gonna grow he's gonna build up a shitty empire.
There you go. But I'm butch. All right. Now, without further ado, it is time to make our selections.
Oh.
Anthony, find some Christmas music, will ya?
Yeah, I got you. Give me a moment.
All right.
I already betrayed
Play
mine,
that beat.
because of how much I gushed over the episode.
Yeah.
But,
Well, you spoiled it right from the get-go
yeah.
by saying it
This
is my favorite episode.
But I mean, I'm saying it's my favorite episode of the series. So, yeah, and I'll throw in just a favorite memory of it, since I talked so much about it already. At the end of Christmas Time in Hell, when Jimmy Stewart comes by and says, "Merry Christmas, movie house," that always gives me an extra laugh.
What about you, Steph?
I would have to go with It's Christmas in Canada. I
Okay.
love the Wizard of Oz duo, Saddam Hussein, special guest. Songs were on point. Munchkins were on point.
You should have seen the reaction I got from Steph when I said that It's Christmas in Canada was not in the running. A, because Canada doesn't count. B, because The Wizard of Oz is not a Christmas movie.
I was seriously concerned that I had prepped completely incorrect. I was like, what? I didn't know this was a thing.
It's a Christmas miracle. I let it be on the list.
Christmas is a universal holiday.
Not in
Except in Canada. Yeah, exactly.
All right, and mine is Red Sleigh Down. It's just so fun.
It's hard to disagree with that point. Yeah, I mean, with that pick. I mean, yeah.
You've got such a great mission. You've got Santa trying to do a mission. You've got Cartman trying to be nice for once and pull off a Christmas miracle. And I love when he gets to the North Pole and he's like, oh, every time, this time of year, all the kids, they try to pull off one nice thing because they've been so naughty. He's like, oh, how stupid of them. And of course, he's doing the same thing.
It is a good
So, and it's just got
a good
Santa,
point.
it's got Jesus, and it's got Mr. Hankey all trying to do the same thing. So, and of course, Jesus on Christmas, in order to get back Santa, he of course gets his automatic weaponry.
Which is
What's
an
more
amazing moment, yeah.
What's more holiday than that? Anthony, since you're a part of this show, you have a favorite?
The one I can remember the most is a Red Sleigh Down. That was-
Really?
Yeah, that
That's
was pretty good.
everyone's top.
I
mean, I
mean,
remember I
pretty epic.
remember specifically Jesus with his artillery and everything, and I thought it was pretty hilarious. And I love Black Hawk Down, so it was hand in hand. Yeah.
which is another great Christmas movie, by the way, Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, indeed. Alrighty then. Please let us know your pick in the comments section below. This is our final episode of 2017. Many blessings to all. Is there any final words of the year that you want to say, whether about season 21, the holiday special, anything? This is our moment.
Well, we've got 12 months for Trey and Matt to give us a Christmas present, a Christmas episode in season 22. I don't think it's that much to ask for. I don't care what happens in it. It can be about anything. It can be anything they want. Although now I'm interested in seeing Pip again. But really, it could be anything they want. I would
Cartman
love.
as the Grinch.
Yeah, I would love. That's a great idea, actually.
There you go, Comedy Central.
Yeah, this is free ideas from Steph Sabra. I would love another Christmas episode. The
Yeah.
fact that there hasn't been one since season 8, I couldn't believe it when Phil sent us that list. But I have to believe it because it's the facts.
I agree. We need to bring back Christmas to South Park. But I really liked this season. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I had a good time talking about it. And it's cool to see the show develop in a different way.
And the season was so smart. It was so funny.
Yes.
I mean, we can all relate to this season. I
Yeah,
think.
this season is Heidi and Heidi is us. That's my closing argument.
Okay. Okay.
Except I hate Heidi now. so-
All right.
Concur.
What can I say besides it's been a joy and a pleasure to hate all of you online.
You trolls.
Just kidding.
I haven't read the comments in a while. I'm gonna catch up though. I'm gonna see how much they hate each of us and why. And they hate Steven probably for not being here more than they hated him when he was here. So that'll be fun.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys as always. Where can the people follow you and wish you a Merry fucking Christmas?
You can wish me a Merry fucking Christmas anytime you like at Christian DMZ, Twitter and Instagram.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Steph Sabra, and happy holidays, everyone.
You can follow me at Phil Svitek, and of course follow at AfterBuzz. And that's it. That's all we got. Take us out of here, Anthony.
On Twitter at Tony B. Dead.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.